Welcome to the on-demand training where we will be reviewing the child risk behaviors. Risk behaviors are the types of things that can get children in trouble or put them in danger of hurting themselves or others. Although the time frame moves slightly away from the standard 30-day window, we will still be using the basic 0 to 3 scoring method. It is important that you use your manual when scoring this domain. A 0 is going to equal no evidence of a need. A 1 is watchful waiting. 2 requires action to ensure identified need or risk is addressed. And 3, immediate or intensive action needed. Child risk behaviors domain includes 61, suicide risk, 62, self-mutilation, 63, other self-harm, 64, danger to others, 65, sexual aggression, 66, runaway, 67, delinquency, 68, judgment, 69, fire setting, 70, social behavior, and 71, sexually reactive behaviors. 61, suicide risk, describes both suicidal and significant self-injurious behaviors. A rating of 2 or 3 would indicate the need for a safety plan. Looking at the rating for 61 suicide risk, we see that a 0 is no evidence or history of suicidal or self-injurious behaviors. A 1 would indicate a history of suicidal or self-injurious behaviors, but not in the past 30 days. A 2 would be recent, last 30 days, but not today, suicidal ideations, gestures, self-injurious, past 30 days. And a 3 is current suicidal ideations and intent in the past 24 hours. Note how the time frame on this moves slightly away from that standard 30-day window. 62, self-mutilation. This includes repetitive, physically harmful behaviors that generally serve as a self-soothing function to the child. Examples include, but are not limited to, cutting, burning, face slapping, head banging, etc. Self-mutilation ratings include 0, no evidence of any forms of self-mutilation, 1, history of self-mutilation, but none evident in the past 30 days, 2, engaged in self-mutilation that does not require medical attention, and 3, engaged in self-mutilation that requires medical attention. Note that 1 is a history including any event older than 30 days. Anything within the past 30 days is rated a 2 or 3, depending if the youth required medical attention due to the incident. 63, other self-harm. This includes reckless and dangerous behaviors that, while not intended to harm others or self, place the child or others at some jeopardy. Suicide and self-mutilation would not be rated here. Looking at the rating score for 63, other self-harm, 0, no evidence of behaviors that put the child at risk of physical harm. 1, history of behaviors that place the child at risk of physical harm. This includes reckless or risk-taking behaviors that may endanger the child. 2, engages in behavior that places them in danger of physical harm. This includes reckless behavior or intentional risk-taking behaviors. And a 3, engages in behaviors that place them at immediate risk of death. This includes reckless behaviors or intentional risk-taking behaviors. So level distinctions would be a 1, being history, 2, places them at risk of physical harm, and 3, places them at imminent risk of death. 64, danger to others. This includes actual and threatened violence. Imagined violence when extreme may be rated. A rating of 2 or 3 would indicate a need for a safety plan. 64, danger to others ratings. 0, no history or evidence of aggression. towards others or animals. A 1, history of aggression towards others, but not during the past 30 days. History of fire setting, but not within the past year, would also be rated here. 2, occasional or moderate level of aggression towards others within the past 30 days, or more recent verbal aggression. And a 3, frequent or dangerous levels of aggression towards others. Child is an immediate risk to others. Note that 1 is a history older than 30 days, and the difference between a 2 and 3 is the intensity of aggression and level of risk to others. Please also note that aggression towards animals is also included in this item. 65, sexual aggression. Sexually abusive behaviors include both aggressive sexual behavior and sexual behavior in which a child or adolescent takes advantage of a younger or less powerful child through seduction, coercion, or force. 65, sexual aggression. 0, no evidence of problems with sexual behavior in the past year. 1, mild problems of sexually aggressive behavior. Examples include occasionally inappropriate sexual aggressive harassing language or behavior. 2, moderate problems with sexually abusive behavior. Examples include frequent inappropriate sexual behavior, frequent disrobing if it was sexually provocative, and frequent inappropriate touching. 3, severe problems with sexually abusive behavior. Examples include rape or sexual abuse of another person involving sexual penetration. 66, runaway. In general, to classify as runaway or elopement, the child is gone overnight or very late into the night. Impulsive behavior that represents an immediate threat to a person's safety would also be rated here. Please note that even if the youth's whereabouts are known, you should rate them on this item if they are not staying in the placement that they should be in. 66, runaway. 0, no history of running away and no ideation involving escaping from a present living situation. 1, no recent history or running away, but a youth who has expressed ideation about escaping present living situation or treatment. Child may have threatened running away on 1 or more occasions or has a history over their lifetime of running away, but not in the past year. 2, child has run away from home once or run away from 1 treatment center within the past year. Also, a child who has run away to home in the past year. 3, child who has run 1 time from home or treatment setting within the past 7 days, or run away from home or treatment center twice or more overnight during the past 30 days. Destination is not a return to home. Again, this item moves slightly away from that standard 30-day window, with 1 being lifetime history, 2 within the past year, and 3 is within the past 7 days or 2 times within the past 30 days. 67, delinquency. This includes both criminal behavior and status offenses that may result from child or youth failing to follow required behavioral standards. Sexual offenses should be included as criminal behavior. This item is looking at criminal behavior, whether caught or not, and status offenses. 67, delinquency. 0, no evidence or history of criminal or delinquent behavior. 1, history of criminal or delinquent behavior, but none in the past 30 days. Status offenses in the last 30 days would be rated here. 2, moderate level of criminal activity, including a high likelihood of crimes committed in the past 30 days. Examples include vandalism, shoplifting, etc. 3, serious level of criminal or delinquent activity in the past 30 days. Examples include car theft, residential burglary, gang involvement, etc. 68, judgment. the child's decision-making processes and awareness of consequences. Note that this item correlates to many items within the CANS and would include any poor decisions that a youth makes that put them at risk. 68 judgment. 0. No evidence of problems with judgment or poor decision making that result in harm. A 1 is history of problems with judgment in which the child makes decisions that are in some way harmful. 2. Problems with judgment in which the child makes decisions that are in some way harmful to their development and or well-being that may place them at moderate risk of harm. And a 3 is problems with judgment that place the child at risk of significant imminent physical harm. 68. Fire setting. This includes behaviors involving the intentional setting of fires that may be dangerous to the child or others. 69. Fire setting. 0. No evidence or history of fire setting behaviors. 1. History of fire setting, but not within the past 6 months. 2. Recent fire setting behavior within the past 6 months, but not the type that has endangered the lives of others, or repeated fire setting behaviors over a period of at least 2 years, even if not within the past 6 months. And 3. Acute threat of fire setting fires that endangered the lives of others. Again, note that this item moves slightly away from that 30-day window, with 1 being a history longer than 6 months, a 2 past 6 months or past 2 years if it happened repeated times, and 3 any fire setting behavior that has endangered the lives of others. Examples including setting a house on fire. Number 70, social behavior. This is the intentional, obnoxious social behaviors that a child engages in to intentionally force adults to sanction them. Number 70, social behavior. 0. Child shows no evidence for problematic social behaviors. A 1. Mild level of problematic social behaviors that force adults to sanction the child. Provocative comments or behaviors in social settings aimed at getting a negative response from adults might be included. 2. Moderate level of problematic social behaviors. Child may be intentionally getting in trouble in school or home, and the sanctions or threat of sanctions that result are causing problems in the child's life. And 3. Severe level of problematic social behavior. This would indicate by frequently serious, inappropriate social behaviors that forces adults to seriously and or repeatedly sanction the child. Social behaviors cause harm to others and place the child at significant risk of sanctions. 71. Sexually reactive behaviors. This includes both age-inappropriate sexualized behaviors that may place a child at risk for victimization or risky sexual practices. 71. Sexually reactive behaviors. 0. No evidence of problems with sexually reactive behaviors or high-risk sexual behaviors. 1. Some evidence of sexually reactive behaviors. Child may exhibit occasionally inappropriate sexual language or behavior, flirts when age inappropriate, or engages in unprotected sex with single partners. This behavior does not place the child at great risk. A history of sexually reactive behaviors would be rated here. 2. Moderate problems with sexually reactive behaviors that place the child at some risk. Child may exhibit more frequent sexually provocative behaviors in a manner that impairs function, engages in promiscuous sexual behaviors, or have unprotected sex with multiple partners. And a 3. Significant problems with sexually reactive behaviors. Child exhibits sexually behavior that places them or others at immediate risk. True or false? You would score a 2 for a youth who has had suicidal ideations within the past 30 days and a 3 for a youth who has had suicidal ideations within the past 24 hours. True. 1 is for a history past 30 days, 2 is scored within 30-day window, and 3 is scored within a 24-hour window. True or false? Number 70, social behavior, is rating how a youth is getting along with others and if they have friendships. False. This item describes intentional, obnoxious social behaviors that a child engages in to intentionally force adults to sanction them. True or false? It would be appropriate to score a youth who has been cutting themselves under 63, other self-harm. False. Cutting should be scored under 62, self-mutilation. 63, other self-harm, should be scored for reckless and dangerous behaviors that put the youth and/or others at risk of harm. How would you rate a child who has shoplifted in the last 30 days on 67 delinquency? The preferred score would be a 2, moderate level of criminal activity, including a high likelihood of criminal crimes committed in the past 30 days. Examples include vandalism, shoplifting, etc. How would you score 68 judgment for a youth who has been refusing to attend school and is at risk of failing their current grade? 2. Problems with judgment in which the child makes decisions that are in some way harmful to his or her development and/or well-being that may place them at moderate risk of harm. How would you rate 64 danger to others for a youth who has a history of fire setting? The preferred score is a 1, history of aggressive behaviors or verbal aggression towards others, but no aggression in the past 30 days. History of fire setting, not in the past year, would be rated here. How would you score 65 sexual aggression for a youth who has been making inappropriate sexual comments to other youth? The preferred score is a 1, mild problems of sexually abusive behaviors. For example, occasionally inappropriate sexual aggressive, harassing language or behavior. How would you score 68 judgment for a youth after their parent confides in you that they are concerned about the child's new friends who often get into trouble? The preferred score would be a 1, history of problems with judgment in which the child makes decisions that are in some way harmful. Remember, 1 is watchful waiting or caution. True or false? You would rate a 2 on 66 runaway for a youth who has run away from home within the past year. True. This rating is for a child who has run away from home once or run away from one treatment setting within the past year. Also rated at a 2 is a child who has run away to home in the past year. True or false? 71 sexually reactive behaviors would include any inappropriate sexual behaviors that place the youth at risk for victimization. True. Sexually reactive behaviors include age-inappropriate sexualized behaviors that may place a child at risk for victimization or risky sexual practices. Thank you. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to Shannon, Emma, or Rob.